We've come to Buckingham Palace in highly unusual circumstances. Normally, we'd be discussing your work, your duty. We'll come on to that. But today, you've chosen to speak out for the first time. Why have you decided to talk now?
Because there is no good time to talk about.
How did you first become friends? How did you meet?
Welcome to Royal Daily Report, your trusted source for exclusive royal investigations. Prince Andrew does not begin with denial. There is no rehearsed distancing, no familiar royal phrasing designed to soften impact. Instead, at 64, he chooses something far more dangerous: acknowledgment. In a moment, described by those present as unfiltered, he speaks of Meghan Markle not as a footnote, but as a presence. He calls her charming, intelligent. Then he adds a phrase that quietly detonates years of carefully managed silence. We were close, very close. Not acquaintances, not briefly introduced, close. Andrew goes further. He describes their time together as enlightening, a word rarely used casually, especially by someone trained for decades to measure every syllable. Enlightening suggests exchange, influence, a moment that lingered longer than it was meant to. Subscribe to Royal Daily Report now. Don't miss Andrew's shocking admission. What makes the statement impossible to ignore is timing. This was not after Meghan married into the royal family, not after the global scrutiny, not after palace protocols tightened. This was years earlier, before Prince Harry, before headlines, before the monarchy had any reason to prepare a narrative. And Andrew doesn't offer context. He doesn't explain where this closeness began or why it mattered enough to mention now. He simply opens the door and steps back, allowing the implication to stand on its own. Because once those words are spoken, the question is no longer if there was a connection. The question becomes, where did it begin, and why was it never meant to be remembered? What follows is not rumor, not public speculation, but a trail of moments that were quietly redirected, archived, and sealed long before the world knew Meghan Markle's name. And it all begins with an invitation that was never supposed to surface. Connections like this don't begin with chance meetings. They begin quietly through people whose names never appear on official schedules. In the summer of 2015, Meghan Markle receives an invitation that doesn't arrive through her agency, her publicist, or any charitable foundation. It comes through private intermediaries, individuals known for bridging, social worlds that are never meant to overlap on paper. Stay tuned to Royal Daily Report. We uncover the secret invitation. The invitation is informal but precise. A short Mediterranean trip, a small, discreet guest list. No press, no public itinerary. Prince Andrew is already confirmed. This is not announced, advertised, or documented in any visible royal calendar. Officially, Andrew has no reason to be there. Unofficially, this is familiar territory. Private gatherings where discretion is currency and presence is carefully curated. Meghan accepts. She travels through nice boards without ceremony and enters a space where hierarchy exists without uniforms and access matters more than titles. The gathering is loosely described as philanthropic. No causes are named, no donors identified. What is clear is that every person aboard has been selected not for publicity, but for proximity. This invitation will never appear in palace summaries. It will never be addressed publicly. And years later, when questions are asked, it will be treated as if it never existed at all. But invitations like this leave traces even when the hosts try to erase them. The yacht is called Emerald Dawn, 200 feet of controlled space drifting through the Mediterranean. Not designed for luxury alone, but for isolation. Privacy is not a feature here. It is the purpose. Phones are discouraged. Movements are unannounced. Guests are known only to each other. Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Daily Report for the yacht revelations. When Meghan steps aboard near the coast of Antibes, she is greeted not by staff, but by Prince Andrew himself. Not formally, not briefly. Witness descriptions note the familiarity immediately, the kind that doesn't ask for permission. From the first morning, they are seen together. Coffee on the upper deck, walks during quiet hours, conversations that stretch long after others have retreated indoors. Photographs are taken, not staged, not public, moments where closeness is suggested by distance alone. These images will never reach the press. They are intercepted before they ever leave the yacht's orbit. Emerald Dawn moves slowly, rerouting without explanation. At one point, It drifts between Sardinia and Monaco. No ports are logged, no schedules released. Those aboard understand something unspoken is happening. Not scandal, not spectacle, but something that requires silence. And by the third day, the atmosphere changes. Security lights remain on through the night. Crew instructions tighten, and one entry in a private log records a single unsettling shift in tone. Miss M appeared distressed after meeting with whatever began aboard Emerald Dawn was no longer effortless, and whatever followed would not remain confined to the sea. Every vessel like Emerald Dawn produces a trail. Routes are logged, coordinates archived, movements time-stamped down to the minute, except this one doesn't. Royal Daily Report, bringing you the missing 3 days. When the yacht's records are later reviewed, an anomaly appears. 3 full days missing from the official itinerary, not delayed, not blurred, gone. No GPS trail, no confirmed location, no port activity. The explanation offered internally is mechanical failure, a temporary systems issue. The kind of excuse that sounds reasonable until you understand how many redundant systems are designed to prevent exactly this scenario. Failures don't erase everything, orders do. Crew members recall receiving revised instructions during that period. Movement without announcement. Communications paused. No external contact. Emerald Dawn drifts without destination, navigating waters that are never publicly acknowledged. These are not the actions of a leisure trip. They are the actions of a vessel being intentionally removed from visibility. And it is during this unrecorded window that the atmosphere aboard the yacht changes completely. While official records fall silent, one document does not. A young steward aboard Emerald Dawn keeps a private journal, not for confession, not for gossip, for precision. Meals served, guest movements, security adjustments, names are shortened, details are clinical. One entry stands out. Ms. M distressed, prolonged meeting with a requested early departure. The journal does not speculate. It does not interpret emotion. It simply notes deviation. Asterisk, subscribe now to Royal Daily Report. We expose what the journal reveals. Later entries reference tighter security protocols. Exterior lights left on through the night. Crew confined to quarters during late hours. Instructions delivered verbally rather than written. On the morning following the unlogged days, another line appears brief, almost reluctant. Communications blackout extended. Awaiting clearance. Clearance from whom is never written. But the journal reveals something crucial. Whatever unfolded aboard Emerald Dawn was no longer casual, mutual, or uncontrolled. Someone wanted out. Someone else decided when that would happen. The morning Emerald Dawn is boarded. It isn't local authorities who arrive. It is MI5. There are no sirens, no announcements, no public record, just quiet, efficient movement. The yacht is swept room by room. Not for weapons, not for contraband, for devices. 3 are found. 1 concealed in a shared lounge area, 1 near the helm, 1 inside the cabin assigned to Ms. M. These are not passive monitoring tools. They are military-grade recording devices designed to store audio locally rather than transmitted outward. That distinction matters. It means the recordings were never intended to travel. They were meant to be collected. The devices are removed without ceremony. The crew is separated and instructed not to discuss what they witnessed. Non-disclosure agreements are issued before anyone is allowed to disembark. Royal Daily Report, your window into the MI5 raid. No charges are filed. No statements are released. No explanation is offered. From the outside, nothing appears to have happened. But from that moment forward, the story no longer belongs to the people who were on the yacht. It belongs to the institution that took possession of what was recorded there. When material is deemed too sensitive to destroy, it is not eliminated. It is archived. The recordings recovered from Emerald Dawn do not enter criminal evidence channels. They are not logged into public intelligence databases. Instead, they are transferred into a system designed for one purpose only: permanent containment. Beneath Windsor Castle in a climate-controlled archive inaccessible without layered authorization. Inside it are the seized audio files, partial transcripts, intercepted photographs, and internal summaries compiled by palace intermediaries and intelligence handlers. Every item is cataloged. Nothing is discarded. Access is restricted to a narrow corridor of authority. Names appear in the log: Prince Andrew, and later, Charles Windsor. This is not curiosity. This is oversight. Because once information enters a vault like this, it is no longer about truth or denial. It becomes about ownership. Who controls the narrative and who controls the silence? What happened aboard Emerald Dawn is now officially classified not as an incident, but as a liability, and liabilities are never left unattended. Subscribe to Royal Daily Report now and hit the bell icon. Prince Andrew's timing is not accidental. He speaks after years of silence, after public roles have been withdrawn, after access to institutional protection has narrowed. This is not a confession, and it is not an attempt at redemption. It is positioning. By acknowledging closeness without detail, Andrew signals that the story still exists and that fragments of it may no longer be fully contained. He doesn't deny the connection. He doesn't explain it. He leaves it unresolved. That is intentional because unresolved narratives create leverage. They force institutions to remain cautious. They remind those who built the vaults that ownership of silence is only effective as long as every copy stays where it's supposed to. Andrew's words are not aimed at the public. They are aimed inward, toward the machinery that once controlled every outcome. This isn't about reopening the past. It's about reminding everyone that not all of it stayed buried. Vaults are built to protect institutions, not truths. They exist so that history can be managed, not remembered. Yet even the most secure systems fail when control fractures. One recording never returned to Windsor. One drive was never logged back into storage. One morning aboard Emerald Dawn exists only in fragments, entries without context, transcripts without sound, photographs without release. And now, decades later, the man who once remained silent has begun choosing his words carefully, not to clear his name, but to remind everyone that some stories are never erased. They are simply delayed, waiting for the moment when silence becomes riskier than disclosure. Waiting for the moment when the vault no longer holds everything it was meant to protect. Because when a story survives containment, it doesn't resurface quietly. It resurfaces on its own terms. And when it does, it doesn't ask permission. This was Royal Daily Report, uncovering the secrets locked in royal vaults. Subscribe now and stay informed on every explosive revelation. Stay connected with Royal Daily Report, where the truth always surfaces.